Well, it's July. It's definitely time to buckle up your seatbelts. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to those subscribers that are following, and welcome to anyone new checking this video out. I really appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe and leave comments if you have comments about this video or any in the future, or if you're interested. You're curious about something and you'd like to have me cover a certain topic, please leave those kinds of comments and questions in the comment section and I will get back to you. Okay, so I'm recording today in June on the new moon, the Jupiter, Sun, Moon, in Cancer, and Jupiter all conjunct, very powerful energy. And I would tell you, I know these energies were coming, and I knew they are conjunct my Moon in Cancer. And I couldn't quit crying yesterday. I mean, in the build up to this, because this new moon happened early wee hours of the 25th, not on the 24th. It just goes to show I am an intuitive. I do pick up on a lot of energies, and I have to really work to discern when it's my energy or when it's solar flares or Schumann's resonance, big energies right now. There's going to be big energies through the rest of this week. And as we move into July 1st, July 4th, particularly, we have three planets, and Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron are retrograding. Chiron is not a planet, it's an asteroid. But we also have Mercury retrograding this month. And so there's a tremendous amount of change coming. I am recording only the first half of the month through the 13th, not even the full half, but there's a lot going on. And what I am going to do, this is going to be a two-part thing. Normally I do a month overview. I'm stopping on the 13th because there's so much happening the first 13 days of this month. For those of you who have been watching, my name is Catherine Bachman. I forgot to introduce myself. I am an astrologer and a psychotherapist. For those of you who have been following my videos since last October-November timeframe, we have really had to watch the energies, and we've watched the energies since January 20th crank up in intensity. So this is the month, the third of the most intense energies. All the planets will be retrograde except for Jupiter. And so we're in our retrograde period, but my belief and how I'm viewing the retrogrades is actually retrogrades are periods where we have to rethink, redo, reconsider, and make adjustments. And so we really do want to rethink, reconsider, make adjustments to what happened when the planets started going direct, particularly Pluto going direct last November 19th. Actually went direct, I'm sorry, October 10th, but on November 19th. So he was moving forward through the election, but on November 19th, he moved forward back into Aquarius for the next 40 years. Significant time period. This is just an ongoing intense period of breakdown and of just almost insanity. The US is still going through its dark night of the soul. It's only a couple of degrees off of the Pluto return in the second house of money and values, of the people's money and values. We are in it, and we all chose to be incarnated on the planet at this time to be part of the healing for this country and for the world, because we've been a leader in the world as well. And there are forces that are trying to take us back and to not move into a progressive new age, which the Aquarian age portends to be the golden age. It represents all of us, the people, regaining the power or taking back the power. But from this point on, moving through this next age from a place of compassion, forgiveness, balance, love, recognition, respect, all of those much higher values. I have been so excited to watch and be involved in our local indivisible, but to watch since January the growth, even through the winter, of our protest. And the protests are not being accounted for or actually counted accurately. What's being reported in mainstream media is far below what numbers are coming out. And then when the numbers are upgraded, they're never upgraded in the media. So the last count that I saw is that we had 13 million people in the June 14th No Kings parades and protests. And for the most part, people are committed to love and peace. And so no matter what the staging of events or the provocateurs that are showing up and bringing guns, most of that are not Antifa. They're actually MAGA and or provocateurs that have been sent out like they have done in the past, and then blame Democrats or blame the progressives or the people. So we are in really, really intense times, have been. That got cranked up even more last weekend with the bombing of Iran. The closer we get to the revelations of the steal of our election, that this is not a legitimate government in our country, the closer we get to those facts coming out, we've already been getting information since March. And that this month there will be some much more official information coming out, not just from our own people in our own country, our own, past government inspections and what have you, but also from around the world, that more information is coming out related to this deal. More information is coming out related to corrupt money into our systems by a lot of the oligarchs in our country and around the world. So this is a coordinated effort to truly take down the US and to no longer be a democracy, so that the oligarchs can do what they want. They can take everything. And this government, we haven't even begun to hear the things that they have done that are unethical and even more so illegal and traitorous. So we're going to hear some of that stuff this month. And there's every time we get closer to that process happening, then we have the chaos president and his administration that needs to crank up the crazy and crank up the shocking events in order to distract us from what's really going on with the big beautiful bill, which is horrendous, and what else they're doing. There's just a level of overwhelm. And so I would tell you that if with this today's new moon with Jupiter conjunct the sun and moon, it's actually very auspicious in the sense. And I did a video last week on the new moon today, but it's bringing in truth and justice, and the people are starting to wake up even more so, especially after Israel and Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran, but they let them know 2 weeks ahead of time they were going to do that. And it's so sad that this president has to have a Nobel Peace Prize. And so he's doing things in the world and using our military to try to become known as this peacekeeper in the world, but he has to create war to become a peacekeeper. So I think we definitely, not just no kings, but mad kings, and there will be coming up July 4th a big protest. And I think this one's going to be larger than the 13 million, and demands for this administration, especially once the information comes out about the theft of the elections. And there's been research done in a number of states now, particularly swing states, to show that there was electronic manipulation. Every way that they could disenfranchise voters, throw votes away, challenge votes and throw them away, and send in a whole bunch of ballots. I mean, every way. When we hear the truth about how many ways the election was manipulated to take it away from the Democrats and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, it's will be very shocking and disgusting. And it may take another several months. I hope not, but it's like, I don't know how much more the country can take at this point. But this is going to be a very, very intense month, particularly the first 3 weeks. Hopefully there's more good news that comes in today, June 25th, with this new moon. Let's get started. I'm going to do July 1st through the 13th. Like I said, we have 3 planets this month retrograding, and I'll talk about the planets and what retrograde means. Also, we have Uranus, the planet of Shakana, moving into Gemini. Thank you. Because I'm a Taurus, and it's been 8 years of total chaos and instability, and there's not much in my life that hasn't been challenged. July 1st comes in, and the moon is in Libra, and Libra wants things to be fair and balanced, and the moon is our emotional nature. It relates to our sense of security, and in all forms: food security, housing security, financial security. The moon is on that day, and the moon it goes through all 30 degrees of a sign every 2 days. So it moves fairly quickly. And I would say a way to think of the moon is emotions, passing emotions. In Libra, it's just really wanting everything to be balanced, peace. Venus rules the sign of Libra, like Venus also rules Taurus. So it's about love and money and graciousness and family gatherings and people, working out differences and just enjoying life, enjoying, good food and good company. When the moon opposes Saturn and Neptune newly into Aries, July 1st can be another day where our peace could be shattered a bit, or there's some more of the news comes out and we're going, oh no, I can't believe this, but I can believe this. That's a bit of a passing energy, and that's in the evening, early evening hours. So it's like after we are done with our day, our work, and come home, and then there can be some disappointing or disillusioning news. July 4th, Neptune, the planet of the highest vibration of Neptune, it has a 16 to 18 year orbit through each sign, basically is our highest values: agape love, Christ consciousness, service, and compassion, forgiveness. I just did a video on Ho'oponopono in my generational healing series that should have been published yesterday. The lowest vibration is disappointment, disillusionment, deception, lies, corruption, and it rules viruses, it rules the oceans, and oil spills, and any of those kinds. So it rules toxicity as well. So he retrogrades, and he's just newly into Aries, bringing in some new ideas, new concepts. And I believe with Neptune going into Aries at the end of March, and then Saturn recently in May moving into Aries. Aries represents new beginnings, new energy. It's a fire sign. It's passionate. It's impulsive, but it's a lot of fun. These 2 planets that have been traveling through Pisces 16 years, and then for Saturn just 2.5 years. these two energies, it's an indication that it is time for new beginnings and for us to rethink, redo, reconsider our authority, our leadership, our, those that are in power, and as well spiritual leadership and spiritual institutions, and any, the combination is where people truly have come out of this long period of disappointment, disillusionment, erosion of our rights, erosion of our status, all the rules, because Saturn rules structure, and that's law. It's anything that creates structures in society, societal norms. Those have all been dissolved, manipulated, and used against the people, particularly in our country, to the point that people are like, now the veil is gone, it's been ripped away. So we're seeing what's going on for what it is. And we're going, oh no, what happened to our sweet little country, which really, Neptune is part of the illusion. We have Neptune on the midheaven, the public reputation, just inside the ninth house in the US chart. We're the country of, big dreams, of Hollywood, of arts and humanities, but also easily manipulated and deceived. We want to do our own thing. We want to do our lives, and just have gotten complacent and left the government up to the news media. But since there was a big shift in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan, and that the fairness doctrine, which I've mentioned before, but basically he got rid of the fairness doctrine, and that doctrine was what required all of our media, our print, radio, television, all of our media to be fair and balanced. And they got rid of their investigative journalist, took it away, and put in entertainment section. And as a result, we don't have truth in the news. We have spin, and there are extreme newscasters out there, extreme networks. During that period, 70% of all radio was then bought up by ultra-conservative, and ultra-conservative talk show hosts had come on. So there was a real shift for the country. And for a lot of boomers, the nightly news was the truth. And unfortunately, a lot of boomers still live in, if it's on TV, it's the truth. Until we came to a place of, you can't trust your lying eyes. It's like, don't trust what you see and what you're hearing, and listen to what we're telling you is going on. So we definitely have Big Brother involved in our media at this point in time. So you have to search. There's a lot of really good quality investigative journalists and people who have the best interest of the country at heart. So you have to investigate to find the truth. We're also going to have to learn to trust our own gut. Is this true or not? I'm going to go do more research on the internet and see what I can find out. So Saturn and Neptune just dip their toes in 1 and 2 degrees of Aries, and they're both going retrograde in this first half of the month. They will move back into Pisces. So we're going to get a whole new round of disappointment, disillusionment, propaganda, lies, manipulations of the public. But with the retrograde period that we're in until, October, November of this year, the last of the planets will go direct in February, and I think maybe early March. Jupiter is like the 1st of March next year, 2026. We're in for quite the roller coaster ride. The country is like being destroyed from within and without because of the oligarch money. And you will be hearing a lot of this. You don't have to trust what I'm saying. And for entertainment only, YouTube. As we look at the month overview, there's some really positive support for new information, research and investigations that have been going on behind the scenes in this country and around the world. I would also just generally say this is a very dangerous time for not only the migrants who have been scapegoated, but because the Doge team stole all of our information and it's now being given. And also, I just heard today they've started deleting all of their history, all of their information in government files. So this is like, okay, this is not good, but that allows, and it's ICE that's doing it, that allows ICE to then, arrest people because, oh, well, we don't show that you exist in our system when, people have lived in 7 different states with 7 different driver's license. So this is some of the deception that's going on, and that we would, we're just not devious enough as the general population to think of doing all this stuff, but it's happening. Neptune retrograding, and he's still conjunct Saturn, so it's people again are awakening. They are seeing the truth. A lot of MAGAs, supporters of Donald Trump and this regime, have now begun to be hurt. They're starting to see that, they've been lied to. I see corruption in both parties. The lack of action is also, to me, complicit with what's happening, and that's not okay. I do think that the time that we're moving into, as we move into the fall, and I do think there's going to be big changes, big revelations, and the possibility of a removal from office of this regime because of all the corruption, incredible theft of our resources. These are things that are going to start to be revealed. I do think the retrogrades could work in the favor of the people, is what I'm trying to say. Normally, it feels like a time where things are brought to a halt. We have to rethink, redo, reconsider. And that's definitely going to happen. It definitely needs to happen. So, and just a general piece of information, I know that Trump's health is not good. So many of us in astrology or medium or tarot, we're getting information that his health is failing. So there's a chance and a risk for him because of some planetary alignments in his chart that there can be extreme ill health, accidental things that could be challenging for him, and he just doesn't look good. He looks really, really sick. Tighten your seatbelts, hang on to your hats. Remember to breathe because we're moving into July. On July 4th, we do have these incredible Indivisible and a lot of other organizations, veterans, etc., protesting because hopefully they won't have passed or signed into law this big beautiful bill, because it's really not. And there's just so much wrong with it. So that's coming up. If you are going to go out and protest, I am. And for those who are going to go out and protest, this is going to be it's going to be really important to pay attention to your surroundings. And I do know Indivisible has many volunteers who are in their little kind of safety vests that are prepared for de-escalation. So if you see something that doesn't look right or is about to go bad, go find an Indivisible person and let them know, in order to help de-escalate. Do not fight. Stay loving, stay peaceful. It is frightening. This is a frightening time, and I would not recommend any of the minorities that ICE is rounding up and disappearing. I do not recommend. If you don't have to, I wouldn't let everyone else do this protest, because we're all about to lose our democracy. As we are in Cancer energy for the month until about the 22nd of July, we're still in Cancer. Then 22nd of July, we go into Leo. And Leo is a fire sign, and it's a courageous sign. It's a leadership sign. But Cancer is about nurturance and security and protection, and finding ways to reconnect with family and friends, and putting the needs of our children first. Those are very powerful energies. And Jupiter, the cosmic Santa, who also rules our legal system, has moved into Cancer for the next year until June of next year of 2026. And he is exalted in Cancer. So we could start to see court cases shifting in the favor of the people, that because the behaviors of the regime have become more and more violent, more and more dictatorial. They've basically, the Republicans have been blackmailed, or part of the Agenda 2025, which is about the religious right, taking us back to the 1500s. And so Christianity, white supremacy Christianity, and religion being the one religion of the country. So that movement is still there, and they feel like this is the closest they've ever gotten, and they're not going to let go until we show up in enough numbers to say, no, we're not doing this. You are not, there is not supposed to be a religion. Immigrants built the country. We are all immigrants. All of the white people are immigrants because they belong to the native tribes, the indigenous cultures all around the world. So it's like, this is kind of a come to Jesus moment, but maybe that's not another good analogy. This is a coming to an awake and aware place as humanity, but also as humanity in our country, that we really truly need to take care of ourselves, and we need to make sure that our government is working for us, because we are a democracy. We want to be a democracy, although there is a very small percentage that don't want that. This is just an amazing time of things beginning to shift very powerfully, and we still have the same regime, the same conflicts, only they keep getting cranked up. At least we were not dropping the N-bombs in Iran. And, the desperation and the lies and the manipulations. And it's almost like kabuki theater. I mean, I made that statement to my husband on Saturday. It's like, it just feels like kabuki theater. Like it was all set up. It's like, so, it's also very destructive, and it's creating a lot of pain and suffering for a lot of Americans. Neptune retrograding, we have to really rethink, our spirituality, and do we want to become a Christian nation? Is that part of what we want? And because they've already taken abortion away. They're trying to get rid of birth control pills, but because they want more white babies in the country. I mean, these people are insane. They really and truly are desperate and insane. The only way to stop it, there's no government. There's no one in the current government that's going to stop this. So the only people we can count on are ourselves. Is Neptune retrogrades on July 4th. Neptune is about disappointment, disillusionment, depression. I would say there is a real fear, because he rules, the fear of the unknown, and we're definitely going into unknown territory for the country. Fear of what's going on. And so it's going to bring more people out as they realize, as we had so much fun on June 14th, and everyone was shocked at how many people showed up. We're not alone, right? We're not alone. This can be a time where we feel like, and a place, particularly at these protests, where we feel like we can speak the truth. We can speak our truth. We can ask for what we want. We can demand what we want. And there can be the development of more community. Indivisible organization, very, very organized, very, very organized. So there's all kinds of groups that you can join that are not just out there on the day of protests, but that are part of community outreach as well. Find a thing that you feel like you can do and donate your time. Join the group. You're going to make new friends, and you will become less isolated and feel, I'm not alone. It's like, my thoughts aren't crazy, because it's like everyone else, these 8,000 people that were on the streets, were having the same thoughts as per all of the signs. And there were some very creative signs. The next event that I have is on July 6th. That Sunday, the energies are pretty positive. So whatever happened with the 4th on Friday, the energies are so conflictual. People are out fighting for what they want, but they're not fighting. They're peacefully protesting for what they want. Seriously, very seriously. Sunday, the 6th, there's a lot of peaceful energy until we get to the end of the day. And then there's emotionally, there can be another, breaking news or another piece of information that's coming out. On the 7th, which is Monday, the planet Uranus, the planet of shock and awe, goes into Gemini. And he's been in Taurus for 8 years. He'll go into Gemini. He's going to retrograde back into that last degree toward the fall. And then I think it's February or March, he goes fully back into Gemini for 8 years. A lot of changes going on. Uranus rules Aquarian energy. He is the planet of shock and awe. He rules, information, high tech, communications, teaching. Aquarian energy can be very curious, very childlike, innocent, curious, and information gatherer, and then disseminator, someone that is like loves to learn, wants to learn about everything, take it in, and then going to share with people or write a book, or it can be very changeable. And definitely we are in changeable times at this point in time. He's at home. He's exalted in Gemini energy, and he moves into this beautiful, the geometry, the triangle, the trine, to the planet Pluto, death rebirth, that has been in Aquarius since last fall and dipped his toes in 24 and then for a month in 23. So Pluto in Aquarius, now the power of the people can do some surprising, shocking kinds of things and really flood the zone with information, the truth of what's been going on. But so can the other side. But it is an indication of fast-paced change because these are both air signs. And they began a multi-year process of kind of moving in and out of this trine energy, which is the gift. This would be, I would say, very fast-paced technological development, development in computers, in AI, in robotics, in medicine, especially energy medicines and that sort of thing. And this can also bring in our ET brothers and sisters for an intro, which I think happens next year, but we could see some of this begin the fall of this year. And those guys are here to help us to not do the nukes, to not do war, to help us to ascend, to help us heal the planet, heal the earth from all of the toxicity and what have you. But it won't happen with the dictators, the oligarchs, the tech bros that are wanting to create their own little crystalline cities in San Francisco and other cities where they become their own country. And so they can protect themselves and, no interest in serving the common good. If they get rid of our democracy, that's what we're going to see. Is this where we want to go? We have gone here before. If for any of you who have memories, past life memories of the Pleiadians and or of Atlantis, and I do have connections with Atlantis. That was a time where we took technology too far, and gene editing and all this kind of stuff. The experiment was halted. Atlantis. ETs, I think, canceled the contract and sunk the continent. But, who knows? There's a lot of theories out there. There's a lot of information. So if that is your thing, there's definitely books. The one that I was connected to was called Sacred Journey to Atlantis by Dr. Milanovich. I can't remember what her first name is now. I'll have to look that up and put it in. And she did a series of books about, being one of the first groups to go into the vortex in the Bahamas and, off of Bimini. There's where the Bimini Wall is, where it does look like there's roads and walls and things that sunk. So Dr. Norma Milanovich, we'll look that up for you and put it down below. As Uranus goes into Gemini, there's just lots more beautiful energy than there is the really difficult stuff. So this is July 7th. I think between now, June 25th and July 7th, there's going to be a ton of information coming out about the treason, the traitorous thefts, the selling off of our lands and assets to, and that money not necessarily coming back into the treasury, but we'll see. There's all kinds of possibilities. Because we know who Trump is now. His cabinet are all billionaires. They all want the same thing. I mentioned it in my last astrology video. I have heard and seen calls to by people that know and understand dictatorships and how fascism moves into and destroys a democracy, that the next step for us is to do a nationwide workers' strike. I want to plant the little seed, and if this resonates with you, only way at this point, at this stage, with the destruction of so many of our government agencies, is that the people have to stop working. And the oligarchs have to lose money for the country to be able to, get this to stop and to start to rebuild. But rebuild, not the old programs, because the old programs, thanks to both parties, are corrupt. It would have been preferable had both parties had really and truly committed to the democracy and the Constitution and a government of, by, and for the people. But that left after FDR. That was, so we're seeing at least a couple of generations of working toward what's happening right now. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith, because millions and millions and millions are showing up. And that is the promise of Pluto and Aquarius. We can't move into the golden age unless we are empowered and unless we are able to stop what's happening now. So Uranus in Gemini, lots of new information. This is another of those triggers. Like each of the months this year, since January, we have been moving into new triggers. What's going on for the U.S. government? What's going on for our country, our birth chart? Uranus is absolutely triggering, Venus, Jupiter, the sun. So the shining light on what's been going on. Uranus is at 29 degrees of Taurus. The very last degree is called the anaretic degree. It is very potent. After 8 years he's at the last degree of shaking up the establishment, and in order to wake us up, to wake us up so that we go, we don't want to hate anyone. We want to love everyone. We want to educate everyone. We want to uplift everyone. These are democratic values. So we may be looking at a little bit of a different democratic structure as we move forward, as we're rebuilding from what we're doing. You may start to hear more reference to democratic socialism, which is about, again, the process of lifting all boats. We own the government. We are the government, not rich multimillionaires, elected officials that are not of the people. There's so many new opportunities because the people are taking back their power. In this chart on July 4th, looking at the US chart, the moon is in Scorpio and trining. The US has a Cancer sun, Jupiter, conjunct Venus. And so the moon, Vesta, the dark moon of Lilith, our core wounding, and Juno, which is about commitment and betrayal. That whole collective of Scorpio energies absolutely trine our country and our judicial system, our system of being a democracy and having concerns and cares, that when we support everyone, the country prospers. After FDR and all of the programs, he took 90 some odd % of the money from the billionaires that had not been paying people starvation wages if they paid at all. He took the money from them and started all kinds of programs and rebuilding of the country. So there were jobs, and people got living wages, and they were building schools and hospitals and roads and all of that kind of stuff. When you lift all boats, everyone prospers. But you got to share. You got to be willing to share. And we have a few people who have no conscience, who have no care, who want to have it all, take it all, and they have a sense of some sort of superiority complex. So part of what I see for the people is that we have to let go of the idea of who we were and to heal that. And in order to heal that, we heal within ourselves. Whatever they're doing that's really upsetting us, the video that I did on Ho'oponopono is a really good practice for going inside and forgiving. If we focus hatred and anger and we want to destroy them because of what they're doing to us and our country, we empower them. We make them stronger. So our job, our assignment, should we choose it, is that we go inside ourselves. And when those emotions are triggered, it's like, okay, this is not who I am aspiring to be. I am aspiring to be the new human. I am aspiring to be light and love, compassion, forgiveness. And so the Ho'opono, there's lots of ways you can do this process, but that was one of them where, you basically say, I'm sorry, and please forgive me, and thank you for being in my life, and I love you. Very simple, very, very simple. Four little phrases, and they are powerful. Open your heart, do some deep breathing, get into meditative state, because that more empowers you. And trust me that instead of getting angry and depressed and disgusted and trust me, I'm the astrologer. I know these energies. I've had all this training. I'm a psychotherapist as well. And it got me last Saturday. I was, so anyway, long story short, there, the sisters out there, and they're mostly elder, but they're not necessarily all elder. I'm so impressed with the youngers, the divine, those younger women who are absolutely powerful and clear in their own divine feminine, but have balanced the divine masculine. And they're out there on YouTube on a daily basis coaching us on, no. Here's what we need to do, And they get tired. We all get tired. We're all kind of shell-shocked. So be gentle with yourself. But if you find that energy building in you, then go do something productive and do a little self-talk and self-soothing. And we will make it through this. And these guys will just kind of like, I was telling my husband the other day, it was like, I'm just imagining after doing this Ho'oponopono a few more times, I'm just imagining that we are becoming so loving and so powerful. The Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz, where she just kind of starts to, I'm melting, and just kind of dissolves into a puff of smoke. That's what I was seeing. So you can come up with your own visuals on what you would like to see happening with the group, not just in our country, but around the world that are trying to make this happen, that are trying to destroy democracies around the world. I'm going to get on to Capricorn full moon at 18 degrees. And then on the 10th, and then Juno, the asteroid representing our commitment. Juno is an asteroid that is about marriage commitment, but she was also betrayed and abused. So I would just tell you that this is the month of the power, that women will become so empowered as she moves forward at 16 degrees of Scorpio, halfway through the 30-degree Scorpio sign, very potent, just like the 1st degree, the 0 degree, or the 29th degree of signs are potent energies. This is our time as women and or as men who have healed their divine feminine and their divine masculine energy. This is our time. Absolutely. So the Capricorn full moon says, you know what? There's actually, I think you might be able to see the visual of the pink triangles. We have again a Star of David in here. Triangles are grand trines. The Star of David is a series of several grand trines. So what's the grand trine? It's coming into our gifts and into perfect balance and clarity. The sun is involved in Cancer, trining Juno, and as she goes direct, moves forward. So women are going to be stepping into this much more. And then trining the North Node. This is dharmically the time for us to step into our power, and the rewards will come because we are going to be addressing the needs of all against the abuses of power. So that's one grand trine. The moon, so emotionally, and also women, children, security, all of that kind of stuff, trines the south node of the moon. And the south node are the memories from past lives that were it's also skills that I think skills and knowledge that we bring in from past lives. And he's traveling in Virgo, or she's traveling, sorry, moon. She's traveling in the sign of Virgo and trining the part of fortune, which is our joy. So this is a more of a minor trine because it's the south node, but also a part of fortune, which is, just an energy of where are we going to find our joy? What brings us joy? The part of fortune's in Taurus energy. The south node is in Virgo. Taurus energy, ruled by Venus, love, food and security and art and music and harmonious relationships. South node in Virgo, we got to heal some stuff. South node is let's bring in all of our skill sets so that we can, and so many of us, and particularly women in this country, have been so repressed and denied, and particularly boomer generation, You get to the Pluto Scorpio generation, is they don't put up with anything, right? Essentially, it's like, not paid, not valued, not seen, not heard, blamed for everything, and yet we are not supposed intelligent enough to manage our own bodies, which it's all patriarchal BS. This grand trine says, oh, no more. No more. We are not going to do any of this stuff. We are going to reclaim our joy. We're going to reclaim and create new structures around nurturance and support in Capricorn. The moon is in Capricorn. So it's time for us to redo all these patriarchal structures into a more balanced, healthy process. We're still going to have to fight against some people's values. Some people are kind of wishy-washy about, our needing to change our values. They actually want to go back. They want to go to the past. And those that have succumb to fear and are more susceptible to indoctrination, these are the people that are going to no, we kind of because that's what we know. But the youth and a couple of generations now they're in their adult years are saying, oh, this is insane. The next generations are already educated and have educated themselves on how do we heal communities, how do we heal the environment. There are contingencies of us in the boomer generation, in the Pluto Virgo generation, and the Pluto Libra generation is really coming into its own now as well. So, which are our kids, in their 40s, late 40s, and moving into the 50s. So each generation has a gift and an area of focus and expertise that they come in as a collective to work on. That's just one of the planets, but with Pluto. So those guys are all, it's like they're ready. Boomers, it's okay to retire. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let others take, the burden, but we need to still show up and support, however that looks. So that's the second grand trine. And Uranus is actually newly in Gemini, is an out of sign conjunct part of fortune in Taurus, but is also part of that trine. So there's that trine. And then there's the trine with Mercury to Ceres. And Mercury is our communication planet in Leo. So there's bold statements going to be coming in, around this Capricorn full moon on July 10th. Mercury trine Ceres, the nurturing mother. We have to have new ways of creating nurturance and security, dealing with food insecurity, dealing with housing, dealing with healthcare, dealing with mental health issues. I mean, there's a whole gamut of things that are necessary for clothing, for supplies, for our children's schools and school supplies and things like that. And it's trining Astrea. Astrea is the feminine asteroid that relates to where we have difficulty letting go. So in the sign of Sagittarius is quite the warrior, the legal warrior, the spiritual warrior, either having trouble letting go or letting go of the vision of what we want to create. The trine says we can do it all. So Mercury is going to be sharing information about how we do this process. How do we do this successfully? Every one of us, again, you have to filter it through your own gut, your own intuition as to if this is right for me or not. Jupiter is squaring Saturn, Neptune. So there are failures in our legal system to protect us. And we know why that is, because Koch brothers and the Federalist Society have for decades been picking the ultra-conservative judges that would at this time. I mean, this has been an 84-year process that they would create Citizens United. They would, which opened the floodgates to bribery from international people, anyone could bribe our politicians. They could put unlimited amounts of money into our elections, etc. One of the ways that this can happen is that there are more attorneys now that are winning, that are banding together, that are addressing the abuses of power and wanting to hold the abusers accountable for their lies, their deceptions, their thefts, their, abuses of power. So that's going to be a challenge. And one of the challenges with the legal system is that it moves too slowly. And that's kind of become by design as well. The truth is, we all want the opportunity to, before a fair set of jurors, or to plead our cases, to have the time to provide evidence, to find evidence, to provide evidence, and plead our cases. So, this man and these people have been afforded the maximum and have never been busted for their delays, for their contempt of court stuff. I mean, it's like you can't, and this is part of the problem and part of what needs to be changed when we're rebuilding, is that the law has to apply to everyone. And just because you're rich and you are in power, or you have a powerful company, or, I think we need to do a lot of big antitrust monopoly breaking programs that used to happen on a fairly regular basis, but don't anymore. And that huge collection of wealth, where the workers are not being paid for their work, it's being stolen from them. They are given enough to barely survive. And in a lot of cases, you have to have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, or you have to live in a group where in a household there's multiple people that are working, contributing to just to be able to scrape by enough to survive. So this has got to end. It can't continue. And nor can this dystopian future these people are wanting to saddle us with. It's conflict, there's work to do, and maybe not a lot of rest for the weary. But I'm going to tell you, when you go to, one of these protests, the energy is so high and people are so happy that it lifts your energy, that it truly is contagious. It expands throughout all. So find the groups. There's just a delightful smorgasbord of people at these protests. So it is America at its finest. Participate. It'll open your heart. I want to talk about Saturn going retrograde on the 13th, Sunday the 13th. This could be another indication of those in authority of them starting to fail, that the retrograde stops them on some level. Because there's stuff going on at The Hague, the International Criminal Court. There's evidence of election of Russian and other election interference in other democracies in the European Union. And, so we're all kind of just like, okay, can you guys, anytime, can you please bring this stuff out? Because the people have to know about it before you just go and round all these guys up. Energies are a little bit stressful. So this could be, again, another, what the trend is that every weekend paybacks, are happening, more radical, more extreme, more shocking kind of things are happening, because they're not going to quit until they're pulled out of office. So, just expect it. And then start doing your meditations. Start taking care of yourself. Saturn in Aries retrogrades. He's only at the 1st degree, so it's going to take him, I think in August, he goes back into Pisces. And there'll be grief and there'll be spin. And I think, as information comes out this month of July, and it's going to be coming out for years, but as it comes out this month in July, that some of what they've been doing is going to make us sick to our stomach. So feel the feelings, and then, okay, what are we going to do about it? Because we're the ones we're waiting for. No one else is going to rescue us. We can be supported. There are those that are in government that do not want this democracy to be destroyed and are working every day. I know Senator Whitehouse is a major champion of the rule of law in the government and busting the corrupt Supreme Court members. This is one other little piece that I picked up, is that we may also learn, finally have the information come forward that that Donald Trump was not elected in 2016 either. There was election interference there. So he's been an illegitimate president and acted like, he was still president because he couldn't tell the truth about that Biden actually won 2020. And the same thing, they did not win this election. So they stole from Kamala, another woman. How exciting that we have women running for president, women of color, and then all the ammunition, all of the techniques that they can suppress and manipulate, throw out, or abuse the election systems in order to put their guy in. And we're going to learn that Russia did help to put him in 15. Russia helped this last time, but Russia wasn't the only one. I'm going to wrap it up. This is probably closer to an hour. And we have still another half of a month to go. So I'll wait another week or so, get that one queued up, and I'll do what I can for August. I'm probably going to pre-record a lot of things for August because we are moving. And we will be moving ourselves. So there's going to be, besides energy levels, I'm going to take the month of August off. I will pre-record. And if there is an event, that I just need to get in and do a quick thing, I will do that. So anyway, I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Go out and have some good fun and get into some good trouble. Okay. Take care.